Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with the Mountain Bike Shed. We're going to do an opening on a Jamis Highpoint A2. So this is going to be your first step or first foray into a real mountain bike. Most of your sub $1,000 bikes aren't really going to be upgradable, and you're going to quickly outgrow them. So this is the first level of bike where you may outgrow some of the components, some of the parts on it, but you'll be able to upgrade it. Things like a tapered head tube, tubeless wheels, one by. These are internal routing, and you're down to a little area to be able to route an internally routed dropper. Really key things that most of your sub $1,000 bikes just aren't going to come with. So we'll get this thing unboxed. I will talk to you guys about it as we go. The box part seems to be the most difficult. But yeah, the A2, first thing here, we're taking off the wheels. So good opportunity to talk about. This bike at $999 has two Bliss ready rims. That's really nice. We don't always see that. And that's going to be the first bike in the Jamis lineup that's going to provide two Bliss ready rims. If you're trying to buy two Bliss ready rims, it's a few $100 upgrade. And when we start adding those things up on your typical sub $1,000 bike, it really makes it kind of unfeasible to continue upgrading, and you have to buy a new bike. So if you're new to mountain biking, this is where the Jamis Highpoint A2 is really where I like to see people start. Again, this is a bike you're going to be able to keep forever. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if I like mountain biking. I'll just spend a little bit less up front. And then if I want to upgrade to a full suspension later, I won't have wasted too much money. But that's fine and dandy. You can keep a hardtail, but you need to make sure it's upgradable. Things like having tubeless ready wheels are going to be an important part of that discussion. I try to talk customers out of typical kind of sub $1,000 bikes, excluding this bike for $999. I talk them out of upgrading them, and I'll tell them that when we sell them the bike, like, hey, you know, if you come in here after you buy this bike and you're realizing you're out riding it within a month, then I'm going to try to talk you out of putting an air fork on it, because I know then the next thing is the tubeless ready wheels, and then the next thing is the one by, and so on and so forth, and the next thing is a dropper. You know, most of your sub $1,000 bikes aren't going to have proper routing for a dropper seat post. The Jamis Highpoint does. So basically what you're looking for, and if you ride or have an entry-level mountain bike right now, you can look in the back of your seat tube. Let's see if the camera comes around handy for me. The back of your seat tube here. And you'll typically see a hole or an exit for that cable. So if your cable's externally routed, or if you don't have that holder where you can internally route, then you're going to have limited choices on what droppers are going to be available to you. So the Jamis Highpoint A2 and A1 both come with a 31.6 seat tube diameter. But yeah, the exit hole is actually on this camera's side. So I'll zoom you guys in real quick. But you'll see right here, so right this little point we have an exit hole, and that's for our dropper seat post. So this bike does not come with a dropper, but you can put one on. That's not the case with most of your sub $1,000 bikes. You know, same thing with the wheels here. You know, this bike, you know, all bikes come with wheels, but the Jamis Highpoint, actually, even the A2 at $999 is going to come with two Bliss ready rims. So you can get some access tires on this guy. You're going to be limited on size, so you're not going to want to go over probably a 2.3 inch tire. You know, Jamis might even tell you to do a little bit less than that, but, you know, something to keep in mind there. This is a cross-country bike, so the frame has a tapered head tube up front here, but that tapered head tube, let's grow us back out a little bit. That way you guys can see and hang out with Linda as we do this bike build. Even though Linda's on the move, she doesn't know where she wants to be today. What's up, baby? But a tapered head tube on this bike, again, something that's going to be really important. If you go to try to upgrade most of your entry level or your beginner mountain bikes, you're not going to have a tapered head tube. It's going to be a straight steer. Again, we're going to be limited in what our options are moving forward. The other kind of key component, compared to other entry level bikes and something you're getting on your Jamis with the tapered head tube, as we're talking about the fork here, is we're going to have a through axle on the front. So this through axle, it's non-boost, so that is what it is. So this is a 15 by 100 through axle on the front of our bike. So very handy, again, better than a quick release. If you are taking your front wheel off a lot, to put it in your car, because again, I know if we're talking beginner mountain bikers don't always have a hitch. Don't worry, once you get into mountain biking, you will buy a truck, a Tacoma, maybe a Jeep Wrangler or a Subaru, something that you're going to be able to outfit a hitch onto. But for now, I understand you're more than likely shoving the bike in the back of your SUV, maybe even your trunk. So taking that front off with this through axle is going to be really nice. I'll show you guys on the camera here. So this is a through axle if you're new to mountain biking. It's different than the typical quick release. So in the end here, you're going to have an Allen. We're going to tighten that in. What that means is we've got hydraulic disc brakes on this Highpoint. The A2 is Tactile hydraulic disc brakes. Those are fine. They work until they don't. And then it's time to upgrade to maybe Shimano's or something nicer. But they are hydraulic disc brakes. And if you have a quick release, if you don't get that wheel completely straight in your dropouts, then the brake can rub. Since your front wheel is coming off often, you normally aren't removing your rear wheel, which is a quick release on this bike. Typical non-boost spacing at 142 by 9, so it's going to be your quick release. And then on the front, we've got, again, non-boost, but with the 15 mil through axle to make sure as you reinstall that wheel, A, it's easy, and B, it's always going to be in the same exact spot on your bike, which is really important and really helpful as far as making sure you're ready to ride when you reach the trailhead. So again, for our beginner riders, I love this bike. I think at $999 it's great because of things like that, whereas you're not really seeing that on sub $1,000 bikes and all the other bikes in the Jamis lineup. The Durangos, the Helix, the Divides, those are all going to be quick releases. So you're not going to have that technology. You're not going to have the tapered head tube. You're not going to have tubeless ready rims. You're not going to have routing for a dropper post. So those are all things that you get when you get into the Highpoint lineup. Again, the A2 is the base build at $999. It's going to come with a coil, fork, and Tactile hydraulic disc brakes, a 1x10 Shimano drivetrain, which is my absolute favorite. It looks like it goes up to a 46 tooth on the A2. So very cool on this 10-speed 46 tooth range. I always explain to customers the 46 tooth range is basically like you could pedal behind somebody walking up a hill. So if someone's walking up a hill in front of you, you'll be able to pedal behind them without running them over. If you're running like Eagle, which can be your 51 tooth, or even 11 speed now, that would be more comparable to if someone was walking slowly up a hill, then that would you would be able to stick behind them. So about walking pace at 46 tooth, I love it. I personally, again, for beginners, I think the 10 and 11 speeds are really the way to go. 10 speed, the gearing's not going to be as close. Things don't have to be as precise. So our drivetrain, which I can throw you guys on camera for. Our drivetrain here is going to have 10 gears on the back and a single on front. You have a clutch in your derailleur from Micro Shift here. Really really nice system to kind of hold everything together and make sure that your chain doesn't pop off. So 1 by, which is important, and then we've got 10 speed out back. So important, cool stuff. Again, that's all going to be, and you know, this is micro shipped on it. Could you upgrade to Shimano? You sure could. But you know, again, you're a newer mountain biker, most likely. If you're watching this video or interested in the Highpoint A2. So I like the idea it's got micro shipped on it. If you break that micro shift 10-speed derailleur, it's going to cost you like $60 to replace. So super cheap to replace, but if you do break that micro shift derailleur, I'm probably going to tell you to buy a Shimano 10-speed. Again, you know, we're looking to kind of keep bikes under price points and make sure that, you know, they're affordable and optional for newer riders, people getting in the sport. So I'm okay with putting micro shift on there to keep the price point down and allow people to get into a bike a little bit cheaper. And then if they do break it, which, you know, you're a new rider, you don't know the trails that well, you know, you're going to fall off your bike maybe more often, you know, things like that make it to where if you do break that for 40, 50 bucks, because I don't even think it's 60, I think it's like 40 or 50. But yeah, you know, or it gives you an opportunity to upgrade. So, you know, maybe at that point you're like, well, I don't even, you know, I think your 10-speed is amazing, but, you know, you could even step it up from there if you wanted to. So you want to make sure when you're putting on your handlebars, I just kind of loosely set these now until I get the wheels on intrude, but I will try to get them somewhat close, and then, like I said, I'll really dial it in once we get the wheels on and the bike on the ground. I'll check the headset, make sure it's properly tensioned, which I can already tell you it is not. It is way too tight. This color is Monterey Gray on the Highpoint. Threaded bottom bracket, also important. I do like seeing that on a bike. Tapered head tube is a big thing. So yeah, the Highpoint I really dig. I love that it's a bike that a customer can put some money in. It can grow with them, unlike a lot of your entry-level mountain bikes. That's why I brought this one in. This is where I'd like to see my customers start if they're going to get into mountain biking. Got a little brake rub to adjust back there once we get things pulled off. Everything else is pretty solid. So yeah, that's the unboxing of the Jamis Highpoint, my kind of initial thoughts on this bike. If you are looking to get into mountain biking, this is awesome to start with. Or if you've got an older mountain bike and you're looking to upgrade, then jump on the Jamis Highpoint A2 at $9.99. Again, major differences between the Highpoint A1 and A2. The A1 at $12.49 is going to have an air fork and Shimano disc brakes, Shimano 11-speed drivetrain, where the A2 here is coming in Monterey, oh, and it's a beautiful color, but the A2 is in Monterey Gray, also very nice. The Monterey Gray A2 is going to have a coil fork that's going to need to be upgraded. It is attached to a tapered head tube. It's going to have hydraulic disc brakes from Tactile. Again, eventually, maybe you upgrade those to Shimano. Maybe these work fine for a long time. This is a newer model of the Tactile, so I'm interested to see how that works out. And then we've got a 10-speed cassette on the rear with 46 tooth count, so we can walk slowly, or we can walk at a regular pace behind somebody going up a hill in front of us. With the threaded bottom bracket, is a very reliable bike, and routing for a dropper, post, and tubeless ready 29-inch wheels ensure your future ready, while the through axle holds it to the frame of the bicycle, ensuring perfect alignment up there. So really great bike. We'll continue. I'm going to cut it here and we'll jump back on and actually go through the wheel truing and build of this bike. See you guys then.